part-time MBA programs. I wanted to mention that one up front because if you received your reminder email just today, it had all the links to all of our MBA and MS programs in that email. So I want to make sure you're in the right room. This is for our professional MBA, our executive MBA, our online MBA, and also our new MBA Direct program. We're going to get started in just a minute as others and participants start to enter the room. I'll give a little introduction of who I am, and then I'll pass it off to my co-host, Jill Melton. I am Debbie Macedonia. I'm the Associate Director of the Executive MBA program here at SMU Cox. I've been in the role for about 3.5 years, working with our executive MBA candidates and current students, as well as our other working professionals. I'm a part of the admission committee for all of these programs. I'd like to turn it over to Jill to introduce herself now.
Thank you, Debbie. Hi, everyone. My name is Jill Melton, and I'm Director of Admissions for all of our working professionals programs. That's what we call our part-time programs. So included in that, of course, is Executive MBA, Professional MBA, Online MBA, and our newest program, MBA Direct. So we're really excited to talk to you more about that this evening. It's great to see some familiar names, a couple familiar faces. I do encourage everyone to turn on your camera if you feel comfortable doing that, or if you're in a place where you can do that, because we do want to make this a really interactive presentation. We do want to get to know you throughout this, and additionally, to make sure to put questions in chat. We'll be pausing as we go through the presentation. But like Debbie said, we want to make sure that you're getting everything out of tonight that you want. So we want to make it really engaging and interactive.
Perfect. And not only do we want to welcome you to this information session, but we also want to welcome you to the Cox School of Business. We know that for many of you here on this webinar that this is your first interaction with us as a business school. And as you all are considering where to get your MBA and what format is the right choice for you, we also know that you're looking at us as a business school and as a university, and we have a ton that we want to share with you. So that's certainly where we're going to start here. We're going to give you an overview of the Cox School of Business, a lot of the resources and the things that we do as a business school. Then we're going to dive into each of the programs for our working professionals, the Professional MBA, the Online MBA, the MBA Direct, and the Executive MBA. For all of our programs, we're going to touch on what career support is available within the Cox School of Business. And then we'll also end the session today with a little bit about admission and next steps. We welcome your questions at any time in the little question window, the chat window here. We'll look at that periodically and try and answer some questions in real time, but we'll also leave some time at the end for your questions as well. All right, a little bit about SMU and the Cox School of Business. So why the Cox School? We really want to focus here on leadership skills. We know that MBA programs in general will help you become better leaders, but we also think here at the Cox School that that's something that you could certainly learn formally, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. We want to see that you can increase your earning potential. Sometimes the financial benefits and the return on your investment in the MBA is a motivator for getting the degree itself. It's also a time where you could spend some self-discovery, not just academically, but also personally and professionally. You're going to be building some very strong relationships here, some lifelong friendships. That's really a part of the overall student experience, even in these part-time formats. The Cox School of Business also puts an emphasis on global learning. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but increasing your global perspective, not just from a business side, but also from a cultural perspective, is really important to us. And of course, getting an MBA degree should be personally fulfilling. You're spending a lot of time, energy, money on getting this degree. We want to make sure you're getting the student experience that you expect, and that you're creating this experience and these relationships that will last you the rest of your career and the rest of your life. Take the next slide. Perfect.
Sorry, I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, did it go? Okay, my computer is a little delayed. Sorry about that.
No problem at all. Perfect. I'm going to take you into the 3 pillars of the Cox School of Business MBA curriculum. These are 3 things that we've identified that every MBA student should be able to develop while you're here at the Cox School. These are 3 things that will really define your MBA experience, no matter which format you choose. The first pillar is leadership. This is a hands-on model. We want to be able to make sure that you've had opportunities for leadership as a student and then also in the real world. We believe that leadership itself is a hard skill and a soft skill, and we want to give you plenty of opportunities to practice that while you're here. We'll give you access. We'll give you access to C-level professionals and mentors while you're in our program. We'll also help you build some executive communication skills through presentation techniques. We have coursework in our curriculum in each of these formats that touch on leadership. Again, a skill that we believe can be learned. And then we'll also give you additional opportunities outside of the classroom through our Business Leadership Center in order to get additional exposure and more practice in different areas of leadership. Our second pillar is analytics. And analytics here at the Cox School of Business isn't about just diving into numbers and crunching them. It's about having a greater understanding about the data around you, about analyzing trends, identifying trends, and being able to use that in decision-making as a business leader. So we want to develop overall a framework and an analytical mindset to help you make decisions and then develop strategy for your business. We want you to also hone on your storytelling skills with data. How can you make a more effective argument using data as your base? We also want you to align analytics with strategy. As you look to forecast for your business the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, how can data, trends, and forecasting help you make a more effective argument towards the growth of your business? We also want all of our students in the third pillar to have an experience that's based in experiential learning. We want you to be hands-on while you're here in the Cox School, and a lot of that includes case study and simulation. The ability to take the things that you learn in the classroom and then apply them on Monday in your jobs as working professionals. We do that in a few ways. You'll all have access to global consulting and global study abroad. It's a really important way to broaden your perspective, not only of individual businesses, but also macroeconomics. We also have capstone classes that will allow you to become more experiential within the class and work in teams, like our entrepreneurship class and business plan competitions. We also want you to leave your MBA experience being able to solve complex problems in a very ambiguous world. To us, tying strategy together with analytics and leadership and being a decision maker is about being confident in the decisions that you're making with limited information. And this experiential learning framework will really help you do that effectively. I'm going to give you a few examples of those experiential learning opportunities that you'll all have here at the Cox School. One of them is the Business Leadership Center. Now, this is an entire department at the Cox School of Business that is dedicated to different activities that are business related, but that are non-academic. So what do we mean by that? There are seminars that the Business Leadership Center hosts, about 3 to 4 every single week, hosted by industry level experts that are willing to give 90 minutes to a couple hours of their time in order to allow you to take a deep dive into a certain area. Some of these could include international business etiquette, how to learn something new like RFID, supply chain, and Amazon, or getting more exposure to executives in their executive speaker series, where they bring in CEOs to talk to intimate groups of students. They also host every year the Disney Leadership Institute. The Cox School of Business has a unique contract with Walt Disney World in order to bring our students to be trained like Disney employees. How would you go through the parks? How would you manage them? How would you solve problems like someone who works for Disney? It's a really rare and very interesting opportunity. We also offer to our students another way to get hands-on within the Dallas community. We offer nonprofit consulting projects. Now, we work with a lot of nonprofit organizations in the Dallas community who are looking to solve problems, and we enlist our MBA students to help them. We'll provide you with a framework for how to consult for these nonprofit organizations, how to help them identify their problems, how to help to solve them. It's a really great way to build your resume while you're an MBA student and to build some strong relationships within the Dallas community. Within the MBA programs, we also have student-led organizations. Now, this is a really great way to expand yourself professionally, but also socially, and develop those relationships while you're here. There are 20+ student clubs within the Cox School of Business that are split up into several different categories: industry, affinity, like maybe the foodie club, and experiential clubs, like learning more about real estate or entrepreneurship. We also allow you to network with our associate board mentors within our mentorship program. Each year you're here at the Cox School of Business, you can have a one-on-one mentor through our associate board. This is a really great way to develop a relationship with a business leader in the Dallas community, pick their brain about your own development and your own goals, and be able to kick the tires maybe in new exposures. So if you work in healthcare and you're looking to get into finance, this is a great way to talk to someone who's already an expert in that field. In the Cox School of Business, in addition to the MBA programs and master's programs and undergraduate programs that we hold, the Cox School has 15 centers and institutes. These are staffed centers that really drive best practices in a lot of different areas. This includes the Caruth Center for Entrepreneurship, the Brierley Center for Customer Engagement, the McGuire Energy Institute, just to name a few. At the end of it all, one of the highlights of the MBA experience is the business plan competition. Each of our programs gives you access to create your own business plan and idea in small teams and then pitch them to real investors to win cash at the end of the day. It's a lot of fun to see our students build these business plans over time and then pitch them to win the money. All right. One of the other highlights of the MBA programs is our Global Leadership Program. Global business and gaining a global business perspective as part of your MBA program is really unique to the Cox School, and it's something that we emphasize in each of our MBA formats. There are several different types of trips that you can take. There's a consulting style trip where you'll be placed in small teams and you'll work for real clients around the world. You'll be learning a consulting framework before you travel, and then on your trip, you'll be able to meet with your client, interview employees, gather more data, and ultimately make your recommendations. We also offer market tour trips where you get to visit 1 or 2 cities over about 5 to 6 days, where you'll be able to see a variety of companies and industries within a certain market, for example, real estate or entrepreneurship. We also offer industry-focused trips where you're going to look at particular industry within an area. Maybe you're looking at manufacturing in Morocco, or you're looking at energy in Dubai. So those are some examples of what an industry-focused trip would look like. Perfect. I'm going to pass it over to Jill now to talk about the Professional MBA program.
All right, thank you, Debbie. So one of the questions in the chat was about, if what Debbie was presenting on were open to online students. And so the answer is yes. Everything that Debbie's presented on so far is open to all of our students, regardless of program type. But now we're going to move a little bit more into the section where we're talking specifically about the curriculum and in-program differences. So that's where you'll kind of want to be listening a little bit more about those program differences. So I want to talk a little bit about the Professional MBA. This is our part-time MBA option for working professionals, predominantly in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It is our on-campus option. So as you can see on this slide, in your first year is really where you focus on our core classes, our core coursework. So as you can see over on the right-hand side, our curriculum is laid out. We do 3 terms a year because we do have summer classes. So think of a term like a semester. And then from there, on the Professional MBA, we divide each term into 2 7-week-long modules. So we do that for a couple of reasons. It's really focused. You're only taking 2 classes at a time. It's pretty fast and furious, I'll be honest with you. It moves by very quickly, but we think it's a lot easier for students to be able to juggle 2 classes at once while working and coming to campus twice a week. So you can see here in the first year, you have 2 schedule options. You can do classes Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Class time begins at 6:30. Or Thursday evenings and Saturday mornings. The Saturday morning class time begins at 9 a.m. And as you can see in the coursework, it's done in a really nice order where the coursework is building on itself. And we have a cohort model in this first year, meaning you start with the same students and you're taking classes with the same group of students, really building those relationships, building your teamwork skills, building your leadership skills. It's kind of like your home base for the program, so to speak. Now, in the second year of the professional MBA, a lot of that changes because we open it up where you really focus on your concentration and become an expert in your chosen field. So I have our different concentrations down here in the bottom right-hand corner. You can see we have 11 different areas where you can focus in the professional MBA. And you can see the curriculum, it looks very different, right? It's almost all electives. You're still taking 2 classes at a time. All of our electives are offered on weeknights. We do have occasional Saturday electives, but in your second year, you're really taking more weeknight classes, and you have complete control over which courses you're taking. We offer over 170 different electives throughout the business school. So that's really where you can focus on your chosen career path and your skills there. So I want to compare and contrast that a little bit with our other part-time option for the online MBA and the MBA Direct. So one of the big differences between these 2 programs is the level of work experience that the online MBA and the MBA Direct are targeting. So I'll walk through that. I should note previously in my slides earlier, the professional MBA, the average years of work experience is about 6 years of work experience. The range typically being about 2 or 3 years of work experience up to about 12 years of work experience. So the online MBA, and can you guys give me a thumbs up? Did my slides advance? Am I on the online MBA? Okay, good. I apologize. I've kicked everyone in my house off of Wi-Fi and it's still telling me that my internet is unstable right now. So please, if what I'm saying doesn't appear to match with the slides, please tell me. Thank you. Anyway, so the online MBA, obviously it is our online program. We do limit the class size to 15 students per class, which we think is a really important distinction for the online MBA. All of our classes still, even though you are taking 2 courses at a time throughout the majority of your online program, you are meeting weekly in 90-minute live sessions. And so again, limiting those to about 15 students at a time is really important for us to create that more seminar type experience in a virtual world. We also require 2 different immersions. These are 4 or 5 day long trips, either abroad or domestic, where students are working on consulting projects either for-profit corporations or nonprofit corporations. We just had our first online MBA immersion this past December in London, where students were learning specifically about Brexit. And as I alluded to a little bit earlier, one of the benefits of our online MBA program is that our online students have full access to everything else that our other MBA formats have in terms of on-campus resources, professional development opportunities, and experiential learning. I wanted to give you a quick sneak peek at what the curriculum looks like. If you needed more time to look at this, it's always available on our website, for example. But it's a little bit different than the professional MBA curriculum that I just laid out for you. One of the big differences is that you can see it is based on a semester basis. You are taking classes throughout the summer. So it is a 27-month-long program. And predominantly throughout the program, you are taking 2 classes at a time. So you can see, I always get questions about semester 6, for example. All of these classes with the double asterisk mean that they're only 7 weeks long. So in semester 6, for example, you're taking master negotiation and executive leadership for the first 7 weeks, and then M&A and strategic management for the second 7 weeks. One of the really exciting things about the online MBA is your final semester. You'll note it's only 1 class, and it's our capstone project. So students are meeting each week in live weekly class sessions, but the bulk of your time in work is going to be a group project where you're either working on a consulting project or you're working on an entrepreneurial project or venture. So that's an opportunity for our students to take everything that they've learned throughout their time and really put it into practice. I want to shift a little bit and tell you about our newest program, our MBA Direct program. This actually just launched last week. We just announced it last week, so it's hot off the press, and we're really excited about it. One of the ways that you can think about it is for the online MBA, for example, is really designed for individuals with at least 2 or 3 years of work experience. The average years of work experience in the online MBA is 10 years of work experience. But we know that there are early career professionals that are also looking for an online MBA experience. And so because of that, we've designed the MBA Direct. So if you have less than 2 years of professional work experience, or if you're still in undergrad, for example, the MBA Direct would be a great part-time MBA option for you. A couple of the key features of the program is it is designed for working professionals so that you're growing your work experience while you're in the program. You do have the ability to do a concentration and take several electives so you can further specialize and focus your studies. We definitely have a strong career management emphasis in this program. Our career management resources that Debbie's going to be speaking about in a couple of slides are very robust across all of our programs, but we know that early career professionals need that as well. And then we have a very deliberate pace. Again, the goal of this program is for students who are entering it to graduate with between 3 and 4 years of work experience so that you can really set yourself up for success on the MBA job market and job front. It is an online MBA program with some options to take electives on campus. The curriculum is very similar in a lot of ways to the online MBA. You can see it's a semester longer, and you can see also too, we've added a number of electives here in semesters 6, 7, and 8. And so that's where a lot more of that specialization comes into play. 2 other key features is that in semester 6, you do have that managing your career course like we talked about. And in semester 7 is when you do the immersion. So with the MBA Direct program, there's one immersion that all students will go on together. Before I pass it over to Debbie, I just wanted to pause really quick and see what questions we had so far, because I don't want to get too far away from those. Let's see. So I went through kind of the distinguishing factors between PMBA and MBA. So if there's more specific questions, please feel free to pop those in. Which of these options is more popular? That's a really good question. I wouldn't think of them in terms of what's more popular. I think I would think of them in terms of what's the right fit for you. So we do have 4 part-time options for working professionals. So for some of them, it depends on what level of work experience you have and where you are in your career. For others, it's a really personal decision. What your experience is, what you want your experience to be. So are you looking for the flexibility of an online program, for example? Are you looking to come onto campus every week and take classes in person? So I think SMU does a good job of making it hard to choose sometimes because we make so many of the opportunities available to all of our students. But I would think about it more in terms of what is the right fit for you, your learning style, and where you are in your career. And Debbie and I are more than happy to have those discussions one-on-one to help you kind of dig through that a little bit more and some things to think about. The requirements for work experience. So for the online MBA, the minimum requirements is between that 2 to 3 years of work experience. The average is going to be between 9.5 and 10 years of work experience. So it is a more experienced cohort. And then another question on start dates. So professional MBA begins both in the fall, so August, as well as January. The online MBA begins either May, so we just started a group 2 weeks ago, August, again, so the fall start, and then in January. And then our MBA Direct begins in the fall. And our executive MBA that Debbie will be speaking about in a few minutes is only in the fall. And one last question before we get over to Debbie, and the Direct MBA has an online option too. Yes, so the MBA Direct is predominantly an online MBA format. So it begins in online, but then as you get into semesters 6, 7, and 8, where you have those opportunities to take electives, it'll be up to you if you want to take those online or on campus. All right, I think I got all of them, but keep them coming. And like we told you at the beginning, we're going to have a pause or a longer Q&A session at the end. So we'll make sure to get all your questions, but I always hate to let them go for too long. So Debbie, you want to take it over?
Absolutely. So we'll chat about the executive MBA program and really what makes this executive. I actually really love those questions about what's the difference between all of these formats, but I also like to point out here what makes them all the same. And that is that no matter which MBA format here that you choose in these part-time options, it will all result in the same AACSB accredited MBA degree, the exact same diploma you'd earn if you were a full-time student at SMU with the highest international accreditation there is for MBAs. So what's great about that is that this is not an MBA light, it's not an MBA accelerated, This is a full business school experience that you'll get in a flexible part-time format. Now, for our executive MBAs, to help answer some of those differentiating questions, this is our program that is looking to leverage professional experience in the classroom. It's also by schedule our weekend style MBA. So the executive MBA meets on Fridays and Saturdays, alternating weekends. So about 4 days per month that you would be on campus, giving you the most uninterrupted days between class meetings in order to be with your businesses, to be with your families, and to have some more flexibility with your studies. Again, we're looking for students who have a little bit of experience, so we're looking at minimum 8 years post-undergraduate work experience. For the executive MBA cohort, the average is 15 years of post-undergraduate experience, but the age range is really 28 to 61. We certainly welcome early managers all the way up to those who are already in the C-suite. This is a cohort-style lockstep curriculum, and what that means is we'll open this to one cohort per year, starting in August, and everyone in that cohort will follow the same curriculum pace through graduation exactly 21 months later, or 5 semesters. We're really emphasizing building strong relationships and a strong executive network as you move through the program curriculum. This is a general MBA, but it puts an emphasis on what we like to call the executive core. So in addition to the core curriculum you would receive from any Cox MBA program, our executive MBA students are also taking classes in decision modeling, executive leadership, applied corporate finance, and business law. We believe that these are courses in addition to the core curriculum that you would need in order to build an executive decision-making skill set, no matter what level or industry or function you're in. The general MBA curriculum really wants to help you build a decision-making framework. We want to give you exposure to global leadership. We want to give you a higher level of financial skills and also expose you to entrepreneurship. We hear time and time again from our executive MBAs that they're looking to leave the window or the door open to entrepreneurship, if not right away, then some point in the future. And entrepreneurship can take a lot of different forms. I think that some of our students, beyond just quitting their corporate jobs and starting businesses on their own, also are partners within businesses or look to invest in startups or be board members of startup organizations or direct investors. So there are a lot of different areas of entrepreneurship that we touch on in the executive MBA program. In addition to the core curriculum that you'll take in your first 3 semesters, the last 2 semesters do leave spaces for elective coursework. So you'll take 5 different electives while you're in the executive MBA program, and at the end, you'll take 3 capstones. Our global business experience, which is a consulting style global study abroad trip. We'll also take strategic management, which really ties everything together through case study and simulation. And you'll also do a capstone course in entrepreneurship, where in small teams, you'll build a business plan and present them in front of real investors. One of the features of the executive MBA program is that in addition to Friday, Saturday electives, you're also given the slate of MBA electives that are taught during the week, giving you a lot of different choices to choose from when it comes to elective coursework. Some of the popular ones that are offered to executive MBAs include mergers and acquisitions, AI, machine learning and business, negotiations, digital strategy, and customer engagement strategy. Right. So the executive MBA program has a few different features than our other part-time formats. It is an on-campus, 100% on-campus program. You're taking classes on Fridays and Saturdays, but some of those days are half days. So if we can give you the morning off or an afternoon off, we do try and do that. The core classes in the executive MBA program are video recorded and posted online for review. We know that with our executive cohort, sometimes there are big international trips that you have to take for work or some other obligations that you'll have to attend. So we give you that flexibility in order to not miss on the content of the classroom. Academic cases and digital materials are also included in the tuition that you pay. So we try to package that all up for you, convenience in the executive MBA program. All of our classes are in the James M. Collins Center for Executive Education on the Cox School's main quad. We also offer to our executive MBA students what we like to call conference style services. That means a hot breakfast, a hot lunch, coffee and snacks throughout the day. These are 2 long class days. They'll feel a lot like conferencing, and we want to make sure that you're energized and caffeinated while you're going through your classes, giving you some additional opportunities also to network and socialize with your classmates. We also offer open door academic advising on Fridays and Saturdays because we know you're more limited on the days when you are on campus. We want to make sure those services are available to you when you are. All of our executive MBAs also participate in their global study abroad trip together. As a cohort, it's included in the tuition that you pay. It's a 9 to 10 day trip to 2 different international cities. One of those cities, you'll be doing a global consulting project where you're going to be put into small teams and consulting for real clients around the world. Some of our past locations include cities in Asia, South America. Last year, we went to Brazil, both Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo. And next year, in spring of 2021, we are planning to go to Singapore. All right, I'll step into something that I think is important to everyone here. And regardless of which part-time MBA format you choose, I think one of the main motivators of getting an MBA degree is to certainly advance your career. And luckily here at the Cox School of Business, we have the Career Management Center available to all of our students. We want to make sure that as part of your MBA experience, you have the support in order to achieve your own personal career goals in the short term and in the long term. So there are several different things that the Career Management Center does in order to help support those goals. One is, let's start at the beginning. Let's identify the career paths that make sense for you, where you are now and where you want to go. We're going to do that a few different ways. Some of that is through assessments. We want to discover your strengths. What do you already do that's really great? What are some of the opportunities or blind spots that you have that you want to improve upon? And we'll work through that as part of the career management process. We also want to facilitate connections. Business school is all about networking. It's inevitable. We want you to grow your network. We want to expose you to new industries and functions. And a lot of that has to do with the people that we can connect you to. So we'll help you do that as well. We also want you to be able to showcase your skill set. Some of that will come through in practice, maybe some mock interviewing. How do you highlight your transferable skills if you're looking to get into a new industry? So we'll help you navigate that process as well. We're looking to help you connect the dots of where you are and where you want to go, and how do you tell that story to employers. So we want to make sure that everyone has their story that they can tell and are effective in different types of scenarios and different types of interviewing styles. We also want you to execute all the way down to the end when you are negotiating your salary. You have the support of our Career Management Center to navigate some of the best practices on how to do that. You'll see on the other side of this slide, a lot of the different companies represented within the Cox School of Business, a lot of our corporate partners that we work with through the CMC. We have diverse industries and functions represented. I give Dallas, the city of Dallas, a ton of credit for diversifying and allowing us as a business school to really come into a lot of these different sectors and give our students a ton of exposure. All right. So as a professional MBA student, an online MBA student, or an MBA Direct, we want to have you join us on a roadmap to your career success. And we do that in several different ways within your time in the program. So in your first year, you're going to create a foundation for your career. We want you to go through some of these assessments and get a really good idea of where you currently are and where you want to go. You'll take the Career Leader Assessment, which is a top assessment used by business schools in order to help you see some of your skills and interests all aligned in different career areas. We'll also meet with you one-on-one. We want you to be able to map where you want to go. We'll do some informational interviews. We'll expose you to some of those corporate partners through networking sessions. We'll give you access to our mentoring program, some one-on-one meetings. We'll also invite you to those company presentations and industry roundtable events hosted by the CMC. And in addition to all of that, there are some short trips that you can take called career checks, which will expose you to even more. We'll also take, at the end of your first year, a Managing Your Career class. Now, this is a class that you'll take for a grade, and you'll learn some different best practices and how to navigate your career. That could include resume review and interview prep. Along the way, you're also receiving one-on-one help through CMC coaching. So you're not just navigating this as a group in the classroom. We know that everyone's in a different place in their career, serving different industries, functions, and companies, or having different aspirational companies or goals. So certainly throughout this entire time being a student at the Cox School, you have access also to unlimited one-on-one career coaching through the CMC. In the second year of your program, we also want to help you land that dream job. Whether you're looking for a promotion at your current company, or if you're looking to look outside of your current company, we have best practices that we'll share with you. So you have access to on-campus recruiting to dip your toe in the water if you're looking for a change. We'll also give you some access to interview practice, and then we'll give you at the very end some best tips and best practices on how to negotiate your salary. For our executive MBAs, the career services certainly continue. We know that for our executive students who have a bit more experience, who are mid-career to later career, their needs are slightly different. So we'll still support them, but in a slightly different way. Certainly, this is very personalized. We'll continue with that one-on-one coaching through our Career Management Center to include resume review, job search advising, interview practice, and then of course, negotiating your salary and compensation at the end. One of the additional benefits for the executive MBA students is that as an executive MBA alumni, you'll also have access to our executive education programs for life. This is a really great way to sharpen your skill set as your career moves up and forward for the rest of your career. You can return to campus and do some short courses or certificates in different areas like finance, negotiations, mergers and acquisitions. It's a really great way to keep developing yourself throughout your career and to keep honing on your leadership skills. This is a value worth tens of thousands of dollars throughout the course of your career that we're offering to you as executive MBA alumni for free. I'll say one more thing about all of our career services. No matter which format you choose, you're also able to come back to campus as an alum to receive career support. So when you graduate from the Cox School as an MBA student, you can request some virtual assistance with career management services like resume review and interview prep as you move forward in your career, but even after you graduate.
All right, thank you, Debbie. Before I start going through more of the admissions, there's one question that, man, I could type a novel if, if I had to answer this question in the chat. So I figured it would just be better to address it. It's a great question. So in our opinion, so both Debbie and I will offer an answer here. What sets SMU apart from other programs in Texas and specifically the DFW area? So I think for me, one thing that I see as so important and really sets us apart is our community. And so let me walk through how that permeates everything we do and really differentiates ourselves. So our community of people, so our students, our faculty, our staff, everybody that's on campus, our alum, are so committed and so passionate about SMU and the education that's delivered that I just find so much energy and optimism and spirit. And I think that really lends itself well to everything we do. So whether that's your in-classroom experience, whether that's connecting with an alum outside of class because you wanted to learn more about their experience, whether that's participating in different club and activities and getting to know people not only in your class, but also in other MBA formats. I just think that community and sense of community is really strong and something that our students definitely benefit from. But then I also see our alumni just benefit so much from it because it really creates that well-connected alumni base that we're so proud of here at SMU Cox. And I didn't go to SMU Cox. I moved to Dallas about 10 years ago. My husband's from here, so I can't speak from personal experience other than a staff member. But what I can tell you is that I have been so welcomed into the community and have really enjoyed it. And I feel like I've been at SMU Cox and went through as a student myself just because everybody shares so much of that experience and that passion with each other. Debbie, what about you? What would you say?
I'll echo that sentiment. I'll take it in a different direction, but I'll echo that sentiment. The community really does set SMU apart in a really big way. I think you'll see it as a current student, but also as an alum, that here, particularly, there's this big, warm, fuzzy hug, pay it forward attitude that you'll get from a lot of people around the SMU community, the staff, the faculty, our alumni, really thankful for the experience they had as a current student, and then often pay it forward back to the students and through mentorship and through career connections. And I see that here in a really positive way. I'll also take my answer in a slightly different direction. And that is, I see here at the Cox School of Business how much the Cox School particularly invests in its part-time MBA formats. You all actually outnumber our full-time MBA students. And with that, I think the school recognizes that you play a big role in the reputation of these MBA programs. We're so lucky, for example, to have the James M. Collins Center for Executive Education, that the university has invested back in infrastructure and in services to our part-time MBA formats. We want to make sure that regardless of which format you choose, whether it be full-time to these working professional programs, that you have access to all of the community that SMU has around it, to the mentorship, to the career services. And I think that equality really does set us apart.
Yeah, I think, the other thing that I like to talk about with candidates too is just the connections that we have in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Obviously, our alumni base expands internationally, is global. Our students are finding jobs nationally, internationally, and moving and leaving away from the DFW area. But the vast majority of our students, particularly in our working professionals programs, do stay in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And SMU, this is our 100th year. So unfortunately, it's kind of a bummer of a year to celebrate 100. I'll be honest with you, we've had to cancel a couple of big events. So I think we'll continue those through 2021. But we have been doing this for 100 years now. We are experts in the field of business education. And that just means that we are so far extended into the community and seen as a leader. And I think that's really important too, because you want to be at a school that is going to help you and give you a great classroom experience, but also is going to help you build and grow your career for the rest of your life. The MBA, for most people, myself included, is a terminal degree. Most MBAs don't go on to get PhDs. So for most people, this is the final academic spot on your resume. And so this is the community that's going to continue to propel your professional experience and career forward. All right, well, we can definitely get back to that because, like I said, I could talk and talk and talk about that. But I know you guys are all dying to hear about the exciting admissions process. So I'll jump into that next. We do try and make the admissions process as easy and simple as possible. So we'll go into it a little bit. But one of the things that we always like to talk about, of course, is financing, because it's a really important decision in terms of how you're going to make the program feasible and practical. So one thing that we always want to share with everybody is that we automatically review all of our candidates for merit-based scholarship at the time of admission. So there's nothing additional that you need to do. There's no essays, there's no separate application. You're automatically reviewed and you're notified of that award at the time of your admission. The other piece is financial aid. So even though all of our students are part-time in these programs, you still are taking enough credit hours to be eligible to apply for the federally subsidized financial aid program, as well as the state of Texas programs. And we do have a dedicated financial aid advisor, Meredith Turner, who's absolutely phenomenal. She's really familiar with the programs, the students, the loan process, of course, and so she'll walk through everything with you. She's a great ally and great asset for us. And then last but certainly not least, we always encourage all of our students to explore what your corporate sponsorship options are. So a lot of companies do provide some sort of educational budget or educational reimbursement program. If your company doesn't, or you want to ask for more, we are more than happy to brainstorm how you could have that conversation. Of course, we can't share any detailed data with you, but we do know a lot about trends in this area. So if you have any hesitancy about that, we're more than happy to talk with you about what is reasonable to ask for, or what, how to navigate those conversations. The other piece on that too is, don't be afraid to talk to your employer about some flexibility that you might need throughout the program. One thing that we counsel our students to do is when you're talking with your manager or talking with peers or senior leaders in your company, is talk about the MBA almost like you would a professional development conference. So Debbie spoke a little bit about the experiential learning trips, the global trips. So a lot of our students, for example, can work with their employer to not have to take vacation days for those, because it's being treated as a professional development opportunity for the employee. You're bringing that information, that learning back to your company. So there's lots of ways to get creative on that. We'd be more than happy to talk to you more about that. But specifically on the admissions process, so we've laid it out here as cleanly as we can, but I'll walk you through each of the pieces. Of course, we do have an online application form to fill out, again, trying to make it really simple, but some basic details that we need to know. We do need academic transcripts. Unofficial transcripts are fine during the admissions process. I know especially right now with so many campuses shut down, it can be difficult to get official transcripts. So what we're telling people is just do your best, but unofficial transcripts are fine for the time being during the admissions process. Of course, we need a copy of your resume, and we're really looking on your resume to see the results and to see your impact. So we do want to see how you've contributed in each of your roles, how you've found opportunities, and have you really led or achieved outstanding results throughout your career. We do have different essay components. So with the professional MBA, the online MBA, and MBA Direct, there are 2 short essays, 250 words each. And then on the executive MBA, there are 2 essays and then an action plan. And the action plan, there's an example on the website, so you don't have to start from scratch, but it's really a goal and like, just like the word suggests, action plan of what you're going to do throughout the executive MBA program to reach your goals. So think about the essays and the action plan really as jumping off points for the interview. They're short, so think of it too as an exercise in short and concise business writing, but know that it's going to be a point for us to start our conversation in the interview. For the professional MBA, online MBA, and MBA Direct, it's a little bit different. We only require 2 professional references. So these are the contact details for 2 people that can serve as like a professional reference, similar to what you would do in a job. And the executive MBA does require 2 written recommendations. One as a supervisor, and then the other is a senior manager or colleague that does hold their MBA. We are currently extending a waiver policy for the GMAT, GRE, and executive assessment, as well as TOEFL exams through August for all applicants for fall 2020. And then of course the executive MBA does not require a test score. So we're doing this specifically to help out our applicants during this really difficult time where there are online options to take the test, but they are limited. We really want to try and remove barriers right now for people so that you can continue to move forward and invest in yourself. I've gotten a lot of questions about how to submit the waiver. There's nothing you need to do on the application. Just don't enter anything into the test section. The application will submit without that, so don't worry about that. And then once you receive all of this, we will reach out individually to schedule your interview. All of our interviews are being done, of course, via Zoom. They're being done virtually. They typically last about 45 minutes, and it will be with Debbie or myself or somebody else from our admissions team. And think of it more as like a 2-way dialogue. We want to get to know you really well. We want to understand your career goals and how the MBA is going to help you, but we also want to make sure to address any questions that you have. So this definitely, like I said, it's a 2-way street. We want to make sure that you know us just as well as we know you. We have a whole lot of deadlines over the summer, so I won't go through all those, but you can see them there. Several deadlines throughout the summer. Our final deadline for all fall programs has been extended to August 2nd. I would urge each and every one of you to not wait until August 2nd because classes begin on August 17th. So please don't wait. Earlier in the summer is better, but do know that we have extended that a little bit this summer to help folks out as well. All right, I see we have a couple of questions. Who would qualify for the GMAT or GRE waiver for not applying? Okay, good question. So if you're thinking of applying for 2021, for example. So under normal circumstances, and we believe once we get back to the applications for 2021, we do have an online MBA waiver policy extended for individuals that have a terminal degree already. So if you have, a law degree or a medical degree, or if you already hold a master's degree in another area, or if you have your business undergraduate and at least 6 years of work experience. So we take all of those waiver requests on a case-by-case basis. So if you're not sure, please send us a copy of your transcript and resume and we can work with you on that. For the professional MBA, we do not have a GMAT or GRE waiver policy. So again, a lot is changing and a lot is changing quickly. But we do anticipate moving back to requiring test scores as soon as testing centers open up again. Another question, if you're still deciding between 2 programs, would it be beneficial to apply to both or just apply to one at a time?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, and that's an easy answer. Debbie, you want to take that one?
Sure. So our system will only allow you to apply for one MBA program at a time. So I'll kind of give you 2 pieces of advice here. One, certainly talk to us. If you're debating between 2 formats on which is the best fit for you, we're happy to help you navigate that conversation. We know at the Cox School, we've got 4 different MBA formats that all result in the same wonderful degree. And one of the benefits of that is that you should start an application in the program that you feel is the best fit for you right now by schedule, by peer group. And then as you move forward through the admission process, or even after you're admitted, if you find that another program is a better fit for your current situation, then we're happy to slide you over and make sure that you land where you need to go. So certainly start this process, have a conversation with us, and we'll help you through that as well.
Mm-hmm. Another question from Monique, are the essay topics listed online? They are in the application. I can give you a glimpse into the professional MBA, online MBA, and MBA Direct questions. The first is quite simply, tell us about your short and long-term career goals and how the MBA will play into that and help you achieve them. Again, 250 words. And then the second is, tell us about a time in the past 3 years that has really changed your perception. It could be about life, it could be about work, but what is a defining moment? And Debbie, do you want to talk a little bit about the MBA essays?
Sure, absolutely. So the first essay for the executive MBAs is, what are your personal and professional reasons for wanting an MBA? And I promise you, that is not a trick question. We're looking for fairly direct and general responses there to get a little insight onto your motivations for wanting the MBA degree. The second question we ask is actually a quote from Alexander Graham Bell. So Alexander Graham Bell said, preparation is the key to success. So we're asking you, excluding preparation, what do you believe is essential for success? So that is our second question. And then of course, the last upload we'll ask for is the action plan. And Jill's number 1 tip there, I'll reiterate, is that we do give you an example to follow on the essay page. Click that example and give it a look over. It's bullet point style, shouldn't take too long to do, but the very thoughtful responses tend to be the best ones.
Mm-hmm. And another tip, sometimes when people ask me about how to write a strong essay, what I always tell people is, don't be afraid to be too specific. We know that this is a moment in time, right? We know things can change. At graduation, no one goes back and pulls your admissions essays and checks to see if you did what you thought or you were going to set out to do. Part of the MBA is all about professional and personal discovery. We know that, and we encourage that. But we also want to know what you're thinking now. And so the best essays are ones that are fairly specific. Where you do have specific goals or specific companies. So I would say, don't be afraid to be specific with us. We have another question around the ranges for the scores. So I can give you those for the professional MBA. Our online MBA, because it's still relatively new, we don't have averages just quite yet. But for the professional MBA, our average GMAT score is typically around a 610 to a 615. And our average GRE total combined score is around a 307. one of the things in the professional MBA, you know, all of our working professionals MBA programs, one of the things that we're really looking for in addition to your undergraduate work and your test scores where applicable is we really want to see rich work experience. So oftentimes you'll see a wider range of scores for part-time programs because we're really focused on what you've done in your career and then what is your current work environment. We want to make sure that you're working in a really rich environment where you're going to be able to test things, get feedback, bring meaty challenges back to class, and have a lot to contribute. And so that for us is really important. What other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself, by the way, too. We don't have to just do this via chat. For any brave soul that wants to unmute themselves, please go ahead.
Here's a good question about financial aid. And we do get a lot of questions about financial aid in the process. Is it a fairly smooth process on the side of the MBA programs? And I think luckily for the Cox School, we've done this many, many times before. So we try and make the process as smooth as possible. We know that it's also unique to each person. We're lucky that we have a financial aid officer dedicated to our Cox graduate students that can help you navigate that process one-on-one. Each program also has a 2-page financial aid guide that outlines the process. If you're interested in seeing that, I'd be happy to share that with you after this webinar.
The first step is fill out your FAFSA form. So if you haven't checked out FAFSA yet and you're looking at financial aid, that is the first step. So go ahead and do that while you're working on the application as well. All right, well, it doesn't appear that we have any other questions, but Debbie and I will hang out for a couple more minutes. Again, please feel free to enter them in the chat. We'll be following up with an email with the recording as well so that you have the slides. You can go back and re-look at it. One of the final things that I would leave you all with is that we really want to get to know you. We really want to get to know each and every one of you, even before you submit your application. So don't be a stranger, you know, even if you're just dropping us an email to introduce yourself, please do so. We want to get to know you, help you through the process, connect you with current students. We're here to get to know you well before the application is submitted.
Thanks for attending the webinar today. And I'll echo Jill's sentiments that this is a very personalized process, not just for you all, but for us too. We want to get to know you. We know that this is a big decision and investment in your career, and we're here to help you navigate that process. So feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question. I guess could y'all go back over the GMAT GRE waiver policy again? I was typing down some notes and didn't get all of it.
So for the online MBA specifically?
I guess any program that it applies to.
Okay.
Is it only the online MBA?
So right now, if you're applying for fall 2020, we are extending a waiver policy for all applicants.
Okay.
There's nothing you need to do to submit or prove, you know, just fill out your application and just leave that section blank. Is that the term you're thinking of applying for, or are you thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then you're good to go.
Okay.
You know, what we'll be doing, of course, you know, a lot of people have asked, like, well, what are you doing instead of the test? Obviously, we're going to be looking, you know, even more closely at undergraduate work, getting to know you through the admissions interview, reading your essays, your references, so just everything else.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, well, if you guys don't have any other questions, or if you do, feel free to unmute. I'll wait another minute because I know sometimes it's hard to find the button. Hannah, I appreciated your thumbs up and you're like, A-okay. It's always hard to tell sometimes. I knew my internet connection was a little spotty there. All right, well, you guys have been great. Oh, here, we have another question. Vendon, yes, the answer to your question is yes, we can discuss that a little bit more about the professional MBA. All right. Well, thanks again, you guys. This has been great. And don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out to us to get to know us a little bit better. We're looking forward to working with you.
Thanks,
Have a good
Jillian.
night.
Thank you for putting this
Bye,
on.
you guys. Of course, have a good evening.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Debbie.
Bye.
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 Have a good night.